Hello, hello. Welcome to Wake Up to the Word. It is Old Testament Thursday. It is episode 37. And the date you're hearing this is May 11th. We're so glad you're here. We can, you know what I missed last Thursday? I missed talking about, because I pre-recorded it and it slipped my mind. I have Wookiee sounds, and it was May the 4th. So we're just so glad that you are joining us here from the bowels of the Barksdale Communication Complex for Wake Up to the Word. We are over 900 plays, on our way to 1,000. I am so excited. Thank you. Keep sharing it, and I hope you're enjoying it. We love your input, so if you ever want to just throw some input in there, then you can do it off of Spotify, and we're just so glad you're joining us. We're gaining some traction. We're being heard in 4 countries, and here's the cool thing. People keep sending me gifts. I got another one. This one's very cool. Here, I'm going to show it to you. So if you just listen to it, you're not going to see this, but I'll describe it to you. There's words on this mug. It says Jeff's Stack of Stuff. And the picture is the picture off of my website of the bald guy with the stack of papers in front of him. I love this mug. This is awesome. So now I have my display over here, where I have my first gift I got from Bob and Cindy, and that one's right in the front here. Then I have my standard wake up. That sounded like something broke. It didn't. My standard Wake Up to the Word mug with the regular Wake Up to the Word logo on it. Did it again. And then I have my travel mug, which you'll see me have in hand wherever I go. I put that on display here. And then we have the swag mug that you can order for yourself at the website, wakeuptotheword.org. You can order this very old mug for yourself with the nice, beautiful blue inside. You can order that. All the details are on the website for you. But this morning, I'm drinking from Jeff's Stack of Stuff. Thank you, Jessica, for the very generous gift. I love it. Stacy even giggled at it. So there you go. Very funny. Our reading this week in the Old Testament for May 11th, 8th through the 11th, is Leviticus 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. We got some interesting stuff to share with you. So let's get right into the Word.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Here we go. 15 starts right off with a lovely description of the laws about bodily discharges. If that doesn't bless your heart, I do not know what will. I don't even know what kind of sound effect to put there. Well, I'll give us the toilet for the bodily discharge. I don't even know what to say about it. So, yeah, I don't know if we want to laugh at that one. So, but we have, and here's the thing. You can read through 15, and it gives you all these things about discharges for women, for men, for traveling, for being in the camp, being out of the camp. Feel free to read amongst yourselves. But here's the real reason. Go all the way down to 15:31. It says, "Thus you shall keep the people of Israel separate from their uncleanness, lest they die in their uncleanness by defiling my tabernacle, this that is in their midst." That is in their midst, excuse me. Drink a cup of coffee. My coffee for the week, I'm still doing the Green Mountain Breakfast Blend, so I still have some left, so we'll swap coffees next week. So that's my coffee of the week. But this helps us to understand what's going on, why all these laws, why all the details, why all this stuff with, the disgusting things that are going on. Disgusting. And but here's the truth. You've heard cleanliness is next to godliness. Well, back here, cleanliness was next to nowhere. So they in general were nomadic. They moved around. So the cleanliness and the water was not as prominent. They didn't have as much water. So they were passive in their cleanliness. But God understands the importance of hygiene. And so a lot of these laws, both dietary and bodily function laws, are created to sustain and maintain the people of Israel as a nation. So we can look at it and say, oh my gosh, this is a lot of detail. But the truth of the matter is, it's out of preservation, and it's showing us a very important life principle that we all should have good hygiene in what we do. This sustains our life, and in doing that, our opportunities to worship God, to praise Him, and to share His love and advance the kingdom of God. So we can take these Old Testament principles, these Old Testament laws, and not look at them as legalistically as they needed to then, but as principles for our everyday life. So get in there and take that shower and get yourself cleaned up. And right. So I don't think I have any good sounds for that. I don't know what to tell you. I should have looked ahead of time, but I don't see any. That was a good sound. So that's a kind of a bodily function thing going on there. Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah. Okay, we're done. We're done with that. Very good. So we get to some very interesting part. Day of Atonement, chapter 16, which is I'm going to read some of this. So let me get my spectacles. Make a spectacle of myself. The Lord spoke to Moses after the death of the two sons of Aaron, when they drew near before the Lord and died. And the Lord said to Moses, so this is right. Remember we talked about that they probably entered into where they weren't supposed to enter into. And then Lord speaks to Moses and says this, tell Aaron your brother not to come in at any time into the holy place inside the veil, before the mercy seat that is on the ark, so that he may not die. So that really solidifies what the sons did. They went to a place where they weren't supposed to go. They entered in beyond the veil. For I will appear in the cloud over the mercy seat. But in this way, Aaron shall come into the holy place with a bull from the herd, from a sin offering, and a ram for a burnt offering. He shall put on the holy linen coat, and shall have the linen and the undergarment on his body, and he shall tie the linen sash around his waist, wear the linen turban. These are the holy garments. He shall bathe his body in water, and then put them on, and he shall take from the congregation of the people of Israel 2 male goats for a sin offering, and 1 ram for a burnt offering. Aaron shall offer the bull as a sin offering for himself, and shall make atonement for himself for his house. Then he shall take the 2 goats and set them before the Lord at the entrance of the tent of meeting. Aaron shall cast lots over the 2 goats. And if you don't know what casting lots are, it's done with either the Thurin and Newman. I forget the names of them already. The Newman and the Thurman. Thermum. The Newman and the Thurman, right? Is that what they were? I don't know. We'll have to look it up. But that's it. They either cast lots that way, which tells you which one is which, or They do it with, short straw type of thing, but they cast lots. And because this lets God do the choosing. So they cast lots over the two goats. This is verse 8. One lot for the Lord and the other lot for Azazal. Azazal. And you're saying, what is that? I'm going to keep reading, and then we're going to explain. And Aaron shall present the goat on which the lot fell for the Lord, for Yahweh. Remember, we're using a proper name here. For Yahweh, and use it as a sin offering. But the goat on which the lot fell for Azazal shall be presented alive before the Lord to make atonement over it, and that it may be sent away into the wilderness to Azazal. Okay? So, this one is sent away into the wilderness. Let me explain this. In Hebrew, we have what we know is Aaron shall cast lots over the two goats, one lot for, it says the Lord, but it's all caps, so we know, one lot for Yahweh, and the other lot for Azazal. So in Hebrew, these are two proper names, all right? Oh my goodness. And he shall present the goat on which the lot fell to the Lord and use it as the sin offering. So this is the goat that they take in and they put sprinkle with the sin offering. And the goat which fell on the lot of Azazal, which is also a proper name, a noun name, shall be presented alive before the Lord to make atonement over it, that it may be sent away into the wilderness of Azazal. So, what is this doing? I'm going to give you a definition. I already talked about Azazal being a proper name, but it actually means goat that goes away. The goat that goes away. We get the term scapegoat from this atonement ritual, Day of Atonement ritual. So the sins are placed onto the goat, the scapegoat, and it's sent out into the wilderness to Azazal. And these seem to be in contention with each other. And I did some research, and that's going to be a link in Jeff's stack of stuff. Jeff's stack of stuff. There you go. We'll have to do the reverb every time we say stack of stuff. That'll give it more vibrancy. So we do some research on Azazal, and that you have a link in the stack of stuff. This is all described here, but I got a few notes that I made. Where did I put my glasses? Here, there. Who was Azazal? The Hebrew Azazal occurs 4 times in Leviticus 16, but nowhere else in the Bible. Many translators prefer to translate the term the goat that got away, just like I told you. And we get the term scapegoat, says it right there. Other translations treat the word as a name, Azazal, and I said in Hebrew it is a form of a name. Azazal occurs parallel to Yahweh, just like I said. The wording suggests that the two divine figures are being contrasted by the two goats, okay? 2 other considerations argue for a favor for Azazal being divine being. First Jewish texts of the intertestament period show Azazal was understood as a demonic figure. In the article, it gives you those documents. The association of the wilderness with evil is evident in the New Testament, is where Jesus met the devil in Matthew 4:1. Second, in Leviticus 17:7, we learn that some Israelites have been accustomed to sacrificing offerings to goat demons. They're very interesting. And the Day of Atonement replaces this illegitimate practice. So they've been doing something similar to this, but it was a pagan ritual. And it seems like God is redeeming this and replacing this with a divine, holy ritual. And what's the symbolism of it? It's important to note that this goat was not a sacrifice. It was not sent into the wilderness as an act of sacrifice to the foreign god or demon Azazal. Rather, the act of sending the live goat out into the wilderness, the sending it to the unholy ground, was to send the sin of the people where they belonged, into the demonic domain, the rebelling spirits, the rebelling Elohim, by contrasting purified access to the true God of the first goat with the goat sent to the domain of the demons. The entity of the true God in his mercy and holiness was visually reinforced. So there's some great stuff here. And there's more in there, but it really shows us something that's going on that I've talked about. Dr. Heiser, Michael Heiser, calls it cosmic geography. I kind of call it spiritual geography, that there's dominions, spiritual dominions here on the earth that happened, that took place during when Babel took place. And you look at Deuteronomy 32, when the nations were divided according to the sons of God. So there's some Dead Sea Scroll information too that I want to share with you about Azazal. The point of importance is that Azazal is the name of a demon in the Dead Sea Scrolls and other ancient Jewish books. In fact, one scroll, 4Q, and that's all in this document I linked. Azazal is the leader of the angels that sinned in Genesis 6, 1 through 4. That is very interesting, and also described again in 1st Enoch, chapter 8, chapter 9, chapter 10. It goes on for many, but it recalls a lot of these same things, that this Azazal is the Genesis 6 rebellion against God that went to the daughters of men. And so this is an important distinction. If he's the leader of the offending sons of God that went to the daughters of men, potentially in the pit now, that's talked about in 2 Peter. But as we go, keep that in mind, and check out that document and Jeff's stack of stuff, and keep that in mind as we keep going, because that has some real significance to it. So then this goat goes out into the wilderness, and then we go to verse 15. It says, then he shall kill the goat of the sin offering that is for the people, and bring its blood inside the veil, and do with its blood as he did with the blood of the bulls. Sprinkle it over the mercy seat, and in front of the mercy seat. So it goes on. 21 says, Aaron shall lay both his hands on the head of the live goat. Now this is the process of sending it out, and confess over it all the iniquities of the people of Israel, and all the transgressions, all their sins, and he shall put them on the head of the goat, and send it away into the wilderness by the hand of a man who is in readiness. The goat shall bear all the iniquities on itself to a remote area, and he shall let the goat go free into the wilderness. Then it talks about the guy who's got to bring the goat to that place. And he who lets the goat go to Azazal shall wash his clothes and bathe his body in water, and afterwards he may come back into the camp. So there's a whole repurification process for this guy who has to bring the goat. And one of the things we have to understand is this area, this wilderness area, is very close. It's not too far away from where they are. That's significant as we come up on the next chapters. Okay, the place of sacrifice in 17, and it talks about the laws against eating blood, and we've talked about this before. This blood connection. If you look at 17, chapter 17, verse 11, it says, "For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it for you on the altar to make atonement for the souls. For it is the blood that makes atonement by the life." And then 14, it says, "For the life of every creature is its blood. Its blood is its life." This is a great verse that we can show people that says that the life is in the blood. So I know I talk about this before. I've talked about it again, and I'm not going to stop talking about it. The life of every creature is in the blood. An unborn baby has a heartbeat and blood circulation. 22 days after conception, you can discover the heartbeat and the blood flowing through the baby's body, and it is a unique blood type from the mother. So very early on, within the first month, within the first weeks, 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, there is the life's blood of the child. That's as early as we can detect it. I believe it's there earlier, but it's detectable at this point. And so that's something that we just need to express and explain. The Bible's way ahead of us scientifically when it comes to this, understanding that the life is in the blood, and a baby is a life from the very point of its conception, from very early stages at the very least. And I'm not trying to give wiggle room. I'm trying to point out, because some people don't want to look at scripture. They only want to look at science. This is science catching up with the Bible. And so when we understand that, we have ammunition to talk with people about this issue, that every life, we believe, as believers, is an imager of God. We are created in the image of God. We have a special uniqueness to us as people. Unborn children all the way to senior citizens. We are created in the image of God. We should be cared for. If people understood this, this abortion issue would go away. If all people understood this, the abortion issue would go away. If people understood this, murder would cease, unless, obviously, people with reprobate minds. But people who get to know this is a fundamental understanding of people of faith. People of faith should get that we are created in the image of God, and we should not be taking innocent lives, and we should not be destroying the seed of kingdom potential, godly kingdom potential. And believers, I struggle to understand, not to love, I struggle to understand believers who are pro-abortion. They say it's pro-choice, I say it's pro-abortion. They're pro-abortion, they're for it. Even if they're not for it, they're not against it, and that's a struggle for me. Still love them. And I think some of the distinction is because we tend to put a stigma on the women who are in these difficult situations where they're caught between a rock and a hard place, and they have no decisions to make. And this is where the faith community needs to step forward and lend a helping hand. That's why Life Coast Church has a partnership with Alpha Women's Center right here in Flagler County. And I encourage you that if you have opportunity, if you have expendable finances, look into that. Or you can give through Life Coast to that, because we support them in many different ways. Great. All right, let's move on, because it gets spicier. It's spicier times. Let's see, where are we on this? So, okay, well, we're doing good. Unlawful sexual relations. And this is distinct as we come into this portion, this 18, as we head into the home stretch for what we're going to look at for Old Testament Thursday. We come around the bend of 18. It talks about the sexual relationships and what God likes and does not like. And there's lots of things that are mentioned here about relationships with different people, different ways. That's not your wife, and they or your husband, and they talk about that this is unlawful sexual relationships, and this is consistent and carries from both Old to New Testament. Here it's listed as a law, a legality. In the New Testament, it is a glorifying God process, that a principle that we have to understand. It's how we're created and how God wants us to honor him with our body. So, but it continues on. Then we get to this, another mention of something that is confusing and we might struggle with. So I'm going to start off here at I'll start at 19 because it has a connectivity. You shall not approach a woman to uncover her nakedness while she is in her menstrual uncleanliness, and you shall not lie sexually with your neighbor's wife or make yourself unclean with her. You shall not give any of your children. Now, this is the same category. You shall not give any of your children to offer them to Molech, and so profane the name of your God. I am the Lord. I am Yahweh, he says. You shall not lie with a male as with a woman. It is an abomination. You shall not lie with an animal, and so make yourself unclean with it. Neither shall a woman give herself to an animal to lie with it. It is perversion. And this, all these details go on, but I'm gonna talk a little bit more about the name that came up, Molech, and it comes up again in 20. So this was that was 18. 19 talks about the Lord is holy, and then it goes into loving your neighbor, and it talks about keeping statutes, and then we go back again in 20, back to hitting this Molech thing. And so I'm going to talk about 18 in a minute, because I'm going to make some connectivity, but I'm going to go to 20 first, and I hope I'm not confusing you. I know I'm going a little fast, but this is good stuff. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, this is 20, say to the people of Israel, any one of the people of Israel, of the strangers of sojourner in Israel, to give any of his children to Molech shall surely be put to death. Goes on to say, I myself will send my face against that man and will cut him off from among the people, because he has given one of his children to Molech, to make my to make my sanctuary unclean, and to profane my holy name. And if the people of the land do all close their eyes to that man when he gives one of his children to Molech, and do not put him to death, then I will set my face against that man and against his clan, and will cut them off from among their people, and all who follow him in whoring after Molech. If a person turns to mediums and necromancers, whoring after them, I will set my face against that person, and will cut him off from among his people. And here's an instruction. Consecrate yourself, therefore, be holy, for I am Yahweh, your God. All right, this is a lot of stuff going on here. This Molech, the word Molech translates as king, and we have, again, in Jeff's stack of stuff, we have Molech. I have a doc that you can go to about Molech, and I have something else that I'm going to read from this book here. But there's some real interesting stuff about Molech, which I'm only going to read a little bit of this off the doc that you're going to get. I encourage you to go and hook up to the link. It's there in Jeff's stack of stuff. So the this is the interesting part. Canaanites lived in the region that comprised modern-day Israel and Palestine and some of the surrounding territories called the Levant, the land of Canaan, inhabited by the Canaanites prior to the arrival of the Israelites. And they were promised the land, which we all are aware of, I hope. Molech, along with other pagan deities, is condemned by God of the Bible. You shall not copy the practices of the land of Egypt where you dwelled. So this is 18 that we talked about. You shall not follow those. So similarly, early in Exodus, God commanded that Israel must tear down their altars, smash their pillars, cut down their sacred posts, for you must not worship any other god. So this Molech is really connected to some of these ancient gods, these other gods that we've heard about. Baal and some of the other ones. Molech as Baal, one of the Canaanite gods, references explicit Hebrew Bible is as Baal, a fertility god. The name Baal translates to Lord, and Molech can be translated to king. So one of the other ones says Molech was the name of a kind of ritual sacrifice more than a specific deity that demanded. So these are some of the hypothesis or some of the conclusions. I have a nice one I want to read here from Dr. Heiser's book. He's done a lot of good research on this, and this is Unseen Realm, and page 230, and I'm going to read you a paragraph. It says, the meaning and identity of Molech, it's the Hebrew consonants M, L, and K, is hotly debated by scholars. It is hard to see one clear association. That's why I gave you the doc. You can read through all of the possibilities yourself in Jeff's stack of stuff. So it's hard to see one clear association. However, as coincidental, Molech's name appears in two snake charms from Ugarit in the connection with the city of Ashtoreth, the place known from biblical accounts about Og. That's in Deuteronomy chapter 1, 9, and 12. Another Ugaritic text puts the god Rapu, the patron deity of the Rephaim. And the Rephaim is another word for the Nephilim. So it's another form of that. In Ashtaroth as well. These texts, at the very least, inform us that there was a close religious association with Molech and the Rephaim. This makes sense in light of the geographical relationship between the valley of the Rephaim and the valley of Hinnom in the Old Testament. What's particularly fascinating or disturbing is that the location of these valleys is directly adjacent to the southern side of Jerusalem, Mount Zion, the place of Yahweh's presence in the temple. Now, I'm going to go all the way back to the Day of Atonement and the scapegoat. Azazal is out in the wilderness, the place of sin, the place of that demonic dwelling, the leader of the pack of the rebelling sons of God, and this Molech who's taking children and killing them, taking them as sacrifice, and they're all connected to these sexual sins that are going on, which gets us all the way back to the sons of God taking the daughters of men and having children with them, which created these Nephilim and the Rephaim, and now these things are all connected, and it's all happening right there, right near Yahweh's land. And that's why there's this battle going on, and that's why there's this animosity happening, that they're sending the scapegoat out. They're sending the sin of God's chosen people. He's chosen for himself a new nation and a new people, and he's sending the sin out to those rebelling sons of God who are leading these people in these sexual sins and these murderous sins of children, because that's what they do. They are against the seed of godly potential. They want to kill off God's kingdom advancing as early as possible. You see it right away with Moses and the 2-year-olds getting killed, and then when Jesus comes, the children all being killed. This is not a coincidence. This is what they do. They knew that God was going to come through the woman, the seed of the woman, and that's the seed that they want to kill. This is what they do. They pervert God's beautiful holiness within the marriage relationship and try and skew it out into something that's unholy. They turn it into sin and rebellion against God. Molech stands for king. Rephaim stands for Lord. So they have these two things going on, and it's making this perversion the Lord. And so we have this whoring after, and this is a lustful worship. That's what the whoring is. And they say, don't go after these fortune tellers or these people who summon the dead, because this is chasing after what God has rejected. This is chasing after what God has laid aside, and he's calling for us to walk set apart, consecrated to him, set apart for his holiness, for his kingdom, to advance his kingdom. That's all I got for today. So that was a whirlwind tour. We're so glad you're with us here on Wake Up to the Word, Old Testament Thursday. Come back tomorrow for New Testament Friday. And thank you again, Jessica, for my Jeff's Stack of Stuff mug. We will see you all mañana.